end goal, I had to be present. Forget the destination and trust I'm destined for gold on the pendant. If competition was my first love, then winning was the second.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is the Lollipop, and yes, the rumors are true. I just bought my second road bike out of about 23 different bicycles. Now this one is a proper Trek road bike, and for those of you who follow my channel and watch a lot of my videos, first of all, thank you. Appreciate that a lot. But you'll know that my first road bike was actually a Specialized Allez Sprint, and I actually still have that bike. It's right over there. As you can see, I love the color blue. But yeah, I finally wanted to get a Trek road bike for myself since I had that Specialized one and did not have a Trek one, and I love Trek bikes so much. So after doing a lot of research, I eventually settled on the Emonda bike. The Domani is essentially the comfort road bike, and I'm pretty young, so I'm not really that worried about comfort or anything like that. I wanted something a little bit more fast and lightweight. So I was going with the Madone, but the Madones have a lot of issues. We see a lot of them come in on our Trek store for broken ISO speed problems and other things like that. So I settled on the Emonda, which is a fan favorite among a lot of my coworkers at Trek as well. This one's essentially the lightweight climbing oriented Trek bike. They're always the lightest weight road bikes that Trek makes, and they're very good at climbing, very aerodynamic. Overall, a great bike. It does not have any ISO speed on it, so there's no issues there. It's pretty much just a full stiff carbon road bike. But yes, this is a 2022 Trek Emonda SL5 disc. So in this video, I'll go over all the details on this bike, like the size, the weight, the components, and I'll also give it a nice test ride at the end of the video to give you my initial impressions and what I think about this bike and how fast it is and how light and all that stuff. So stick around and definitely click that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Alright, so first things first, this bike is currently retailing for $3,250 US, so a good chunk of change there. Very expensive bike, but it is actually the least expensive carbon fiber Trek Emonda available. And that's why I think this one packs a great value with the Shimano 105 system I'll cover later. But I absolutely love this bike, and I think it's a good value for the money compared to all of the other Emondas out there especially. This one is specifically in a size 54 centimeter frame. I'm about 5'7" or 5'8" inches in height, and that's basically the size I always get when I get a road bike. And I did weigh this one on a Park Tool scale, and it weighed exactly 19.3 pounds, which is a great weight figure. On Trek's official website, they do state that this bike in a size 56 centimeter, so a little bit of a bigger frame, weighs exactly 20.18 pounds, or on an average of 28.18 pounds. So that's a little bit more, about a pound heavier than this model. And you know, you'll see weight differences from bike to bike, just differences in manufacturing, and also just if you weigh it a little bit differently from the seat versus the frame or something, it'll be a little different. So you can't be too accurate on those things, but that should be a general weight figure for sure. And before I cover all of the actual stock components on this bike, I will mention the things I've changed so far, which is big changes here, big upgrades. So started off with a bottle cage, and this isn't really a modification or an upgrade, but the only reason I'm mentioning it is because it cost me $95 because this is a Bontrager XXX carbon fiber bottle cage that weighs 20 grams. So really bougie bottle cage that is absolutely unnecessary. There's no reason I had to buy that, but it was on sale. And then the only other thing I did was actually chop the steer tube. So I'll show some before and after pics. So before, this is what the bike used to look like. It had a bunch of spacers underneath the stem to kind of bring that stem and handlebar up a little bit to give you a more upright seating position, so you can kind of adjust it based on your riding preferences and how messed up your back is. But I wanted the bike to look as nice as possible, so I basically chopped most of that off, but I think it looks a lot nicer now. I also flipped the stem so it's facing downward and inverted, but you can definitely tell the difference. For me personally, I think it looks way better with the chopped steer tube and the stem facing down. Enough about that, actually. Let's start getting into the actual components on this bike. Alright, let's talk about this frame first, which is absolutely gorgeous. I love the look of this bike. One of the main reasons I actually bought this one, because as you guys know, I don't really know as much about road bikes. So I was kind of mainly going off of looks in the beginning, and that's why I was choosing the Madone at first. But this one is beautiful. I love the look of this bike. It's a classic, sleek design. So full carbon fiber frame, like I mentioned. It's 500 series OCLV carbon, which is one of their lower end ones. It goes all the way to like 800 for Trek. But it's still great. Trek refers to it as their ultra light 500 series OCLV carbon ride tuned performance tube optimization. Whatever that means. Alright, but let's move on to the front fork here. We got a Emonda SL full carbon fork as well with a carbon steer tube. The specific color combination is known as carbon blue smoke in the back to a metallic blue color. And as you can see in the front, it's a metallic blue. It kind of sparkles in the sunlight, looks great. You can see the actual carbon fiber weave for this bike, and it looks amazing. It kind of has like these swirls and definitely changes in different lighting. And in the dark here, it basically looks like a dark blue or black color. But when you're in the sunlight, it really pops out. You can see the UCI logo on the bottom there to make sure that it is UCI legal. Nice Emonda logo. We of course have internal cable routing, so you can see the cables on the front. They go right into the head tube in the front there, hidden away pretty nicely, and then they come out of the front fork right there for the brake cable, and then in the rear we have the one for the derailleur coming out, as well as the one in the back for the rear brake. And there is a dust cover protecting that as well. So good protection for the internal routing. It looks amazing, and it is dead silent, so I love that a lot. And then one cool feature on all of the Emonda frames is that if you do turn the handlebars, you can see this kind of fun little text right here that just says go, 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 to signify how fast this bike goes, essentially. So that's pretty fun little Easter egg if you have an Emonda. Geometry-wise on this frame, we got a seat tube angle of 73.7 degrees, as well as a head tube angle of 73 degrees. It's definitely a good climbing bike, has a lot of good reviews for how aerodynamic it is and how good of a climber it is. And it's still pretty fast, not as fast as the Madone, but still keeps up. But now I kind of want to go ahead and just talk about the drivetrain right away. This is a Shimano 105 drivetrain, which is a workhorse drivetrain. I love this one. All the components are Shimano 105. So we have the 105 R7000 crankset with a larger 50-tooth gear and a smaller 34-tooth gear. Then the front derailleur as well as a 105 R7000. And then we move on to the back with the 105 chain, to a 105 rear derailleur as well, also R7000. Looks pretty nice here, nice and durable, good construction for sure. And then we have the rear cassette, all silver right here. And this one is a Dior XTR, a Shimano 105 R7000. 11 to 30 tooth cassette, 11 speed on this one right here. And while I'm in the drivetrain, I'll also mention that this bike does have a threaded bottom bracket, which is perfect for maintenance. And then actually, let me go up here to the shifters as well. So the Shimano 105 shifters look very nice, feel very durable and good quality for sure. And while we're up here, I might as well talk about the brakes as well, since they're right next to them. These brakes are also the Shimano 105 hydraulic disc brakes with a flat mount. You can see that right on the front fork there. Looks really nice with these heat dissipating rotors that look super cool as well, with these Shimano center locking rotors as well, 160 millimeter wide rotors, so typical for a road bike, but they are center locking, which is pretty cool. So let me actually move on to the wheels real quick. So these are the Bontrager Paradigm SL rims specifically. They are tubeless ready, 24 hole, 21 millimeters wide, and use Presta valves, so pretty nice little rim there. Moving on, we also have the Bontrager R1 tires right here. They are a hard case light tire. They are wire bead, 60 TPI and 700 by 28C, so a good width at least. With the 28C figure, that's pretty much the sweet spot for racing these days. And I'll talk about the seat post and the saddle. Seat post is pretty interesting actually. This is a Bontrager alloy seat mast actually, and not a seat post, because this one actually goes around the seat tube of the bike instead of inside the seat tube like on most other bikes, and that's just to provide some added compliance. But then we have a Bontrager Verse Comp saddle. I've heard that this saddle is pretty uncomfortable, but I'm going to ride it for a little bit. And then moving on to the cockpit. So first of all, the stem is a Bontrager Elite stem, and in the size 54 centimeter frame, it's a 90 millimeter long stem, 7-degree rise, or 7-degree dip in this case. And then the handlebar is a pretty generic Bontrager Comp VRC handlebar. It's an alloy bar that's 31.8 millimeters in diameter and has a 100 millimeter reach, as well as a 124 millimeter drop with a 40 centimeter width. So a lot of information there. Of course, you could have found most of this on the Trek website, but I kind of wanted to show off the components on video because I always like seeing that myself when I want to see a review on a bike or purchase a bike, and I kind of just want to see all the components and what they look like on the video camera instead of in the perfect lighting that Trek has on their website. So hopefully you enjoyed that. But let's now go ahead and take this bike on the road. I'm super excited. As you can see, I have flat pedals on this bike. Flat pedals for life. I'm never going to ride clips. But yeah, let me get on this bike and let's go. Gotta have a blue helmet for the blue bike. All right, let's start off with a nice little sprint here to see what this bike can do. Okay, I'm on the hardest gear, fastest speed. Woo! In the drops. Wow, this is fast. Turn here. All right. Right on the sidewalk. Okay, you can definitely feel bumps more easily on this bike than other road bikes. I can turn here, go on a bit of a trail area. Riding a road bike is definitely a different type of workout than riding a mountain bike. Whew. Getting more tired on this one. Also because I'm trying to push it and go fast. Probably looks so slow on camera. I'm not used to the road bike style. Yeah, it is kind of windy. Not too bad in some areas. Over here it's a little windier. But yeah, this bike seems to be doing pretty good despite that, which is good. Try to shave that hub noise a little bit. Yeah, not that high end. I think, gonna just quickly, for the fun of it, ride my Specialized bike as soon as I get back home to kind of compare like back to back and see how it feels, because the Specialized bike is kind of a beast. It's lighter than this bike, even though this one's carbon fiber and that one's aluminum. Yeah, let's ride back and I'll hop on that thing and see if I feel a significant difference. But this bike, in terms of the Trek Emonda, it's such a great value with the Shimano 105 full drivetrain and brake set. Just a great setup, like I mentioned, a workhorse drivetrain and brakes. They just always work fine, and though they might not be as high-end or lightweight, it's gonna work pretty good. All right, I'm on the Specialized Allez Sprint now. It does feel pretty different. The handlebars are just shorter, closer to you, which I actually don't like. I feel a little cramped in these bars, so that's not ideal. This is a rim brake bike as well, which is fine. I'm not really that bothered on disc brakes versus rim brakes. Definitely still feels fast. I feel like I'm seated further back on this one. It's the same size, a 54 centimeter. So it's a little bit more difficult for me to get the power I want, since I feel like I'm behind the center of the bike rather than in the middle or in front of the center, which is strange. So initially the Emonda does feel faster, which is a good thing since it's way more expensive. Well, I think brand new this bike was around $2,800. Yeah, but I just wanted to do a quick little test to see what the initial differences are, and the Emonda does feel like a higher end bike for sure. Like if I close my eyes and rode both of them, I could immediately tell. Let's see how fast I can get this thing. This one still gets up to speed for sure. Like, it's a good bike. I think the Emonda feels a little faster. But that is it for this video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I know this was a kind of shorter video on a road bike rather than a mountain bike, which I normally make videos on my channel. So hopefully this didn't piss you off too much, but if it did, definitely hit that dislike button. But besides that, everyone, I hope all of you have a good morning today, and remember to keep biking.